All right, everyone. Welcome into the yearly Davis Mattek Peter Overzet Summit program. We get together, we talk about New Year's resolution, the bro science and the real science that we have picked up in the last year, 365 days. I listened to a documentary podcast in preparation for this that Peter wanted to pick my mind about. Pete, new year, new you. How many times are you going to win the main NFL BR in 2025, brother?
This is the dumbest bit, dude. I haven't won in weeks. You need to quit this bit. It's been a long time since we've had any BR success. We're on like an 8-week NFL losing streak, so just relax.
My heart gently weeps for you, brother.
I'm not weeping for myself. I'm just saying, the Pete always wins bit. I wish it was more true than it was. I guess I should say.
Well, isn't that always the nature of victory and of want and of capitalism? Is that the victory is always fleeting and the disease of more is impermeable. You win one championship, you just simply want the next.
Well, honestly, like to that point, for anyone who plays high volume of anything, right? It's more relief when you win than celebration because it's like you put so much into it that you're just like, no, I needed that. Like I really needed that. You don't even get to enjoy it. You're just like, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, Brian always jokes about this because he's like, "Oh, I won the Millie Maker. Like, at least I'll be solvent for the year." I remember Drew Dinkmeyer telling me once that he made more money in other DFS years than the year he won the Millie Maker, just because that's how it works. But yeah, like if you're playing super high volume high volume anything that's not cash game related, shout out to the cash game king. But like if you're playing like, I don't know, PLO tournaments or something. Yeah, it's just the win. The win is the sustenance. You need that. It's not. I mean, I'm sure there is a lot of dopamine. I obviously wouldn't know, but yeah, it's merely the stepping stone.
But like, yeah, and it is tough. I've noticed from people, obviously, in our discords, there's lots of people who are somewhere on the spectrum of playing, recreationally to professionally to playing recreationally very seriously or at a high level.
Yeah.
And I think it's been hard, right? Like even in underdog, I'm sure you've noticed it this year. I've noticed it. I mean, the games are just flat out tougher. There's more tools, there's more content, there's smarter people playing. Similar to the stuff we've talked about before with DFS being so easy, 10 years ago or whatever. Like it's much tougher. And I think that's hard for people to come to grips with if you are playing this of like, hey, I want to do this as a side income, or I want this to be a reliable thing. And it's like, man, it really has to be entertainment based and having fun and taking some shots and all of that. But like if you're playing this with the expectation to be profitable and then you deal with the variance of tournaments, like that's a really tough spot to put your mentals in.
Especially if a lot of people get into the daily games, the draft games from best ball. And just like, if you're smart, you realize best ball, you're going to lose 99.9% of the time because all the money's in first place and there's so much variance. Like if you're just kind of a bro and you like, I don't know, maybe you played the Thanksgiving slate and you hit for 10K and you're like, I got some money on this app. And then you start playing and then you just realize how hard it is to win. That can be like, if you're not from gambling and you don't realize how hard it is to win and you just think winning is the norm. Yeah, that could be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, and there's, that's why Mathology in the Deposit Kingdom won a Dog Bowl C, he had a really good year in season long best ball. And I'm pretty sure he just took off all of the money he won from the Dog Bowl, left like just a small amount, his normal amount, and is just still playing kind of like smaller stakes. Like he did not level up. He was not like, I'm going to blast off. And he's just living his best life because he had this big hit, this once, a lifetime, like incredible year, take some profits, going on family vacations, whatever, and then not like put himself in of like, oh man, I got to run this up and make this a bigger thing than it is.
Man, better him than me. Let me tell you, no one would be better at putting that money back in the ecosystem than me. You'd see me sitting in the $500 3-man NFL lobbies with like this, like it would be immediately distributed back.
Well, that's why I was laughing. Was it right after best ball payouts when the golf stuff launched on Underdog and everyone's like maxing round one century stuff? I'm like, you guys are sick. Like I love drafting, but that's even a different level that I can't get to.
Well, it's funny, like with the NBA stuff, I like the NBA. Like I'm not one of these people that's like complaining about the NBA all the time. Like I will watch regular season NBA games with like no money on the line. Like I just like it. But the NBA BRs they're just too hard, man. They're just, and I have like no system. And I like drafting, like importing batch ranks with like RNG to get my perfect combinatorials of what I think is right, and then just batch auto drafting. Like I don't know, that just doesn't do it for me. I need the sweat. I need to be in the content mines.
I'm the same as you, man. Like I've been playing NBA, but I hand draft all my teams. Like I don't have a good automated process for autoing. But I will say for you, like and I've given you this advice before, but I think you would love the crossover. And it's
Yeah, the $100 single entry.
yeah, and there's normally like less than 500 entries in it. You can definitely go ball knowing, like you don't have to go off the board. You can hand draft all of those. They feel a little bit, they're worth what, 6, 7 BR entries alone. Like that's the contest I would play based on what you're describing as how you enjoy that. And then you're not going up against the 150 auto maxers in the lotto where you have to hit the nuts.
I have learned that if I had 150 entries too, it would not be a guaranteed winner, because I've maxed the NBA BRs a couple times, like, and I did a bunch on like Christmas Day and stuff, and it's tough. It's tough in those streets. All right, resolutions from 2024. How did you do on yours?
Yeah, and it was funny because I was writing up my post for this year, and it's funny because a lot of mine are just kind of an extension of the stuff from last year. Two of the big ones that I had was the book club. I wanted to read more, and then to facilitate that, I had talked about how I was going to get back to having no phone in the bedroom, and it's something
Yeah.
I had done in the off season the year previous. And then when the season started, it's just like, whatever, I lost it. But this year I committed to it. And I'm now coming up in about 2 weeks will be the year anniversary of no phone in the bedroom for me, which has been massive. And so on that front, we read 15 books with the book club over the off season, no phone in the bedroom. Those two things, like to be able to stay consistent with that and hit that was a huge win.
That is pretty. I mean, I'm just absolutely unwilling to do no phone in the bedroom. Just not there in my life yet. But I I read more books than I set out to. I did weigh 160 pounds for one day, which was literally my resolution. And
Nice.
I did bench 225 multiple times. So I consider myself in the 220. So I did all of mine, and really they probably just weren't hard enough. Really, like there's a delicate balance you have to set in setting goals. Like you need what's the smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. I don't think R stands for realistic, actually. It stands for something else. Doesn't matter. I hit all mine and they were all attainable, so I probably should have made them harder.
It's so funny you say that because that's what I've been thinking about. And I'm like not even going to explicitly say what my, like, one of the things we'll talk about is like a fitness goal that I have. And I'm not even going to put it out in the ether yet because I'm not sure if I actually want to commit to it because I think it might be too hard and make me miserable. And as much as I want to be
Hey,
pushed,
misery is good, Peter. Misery is good.
I know, but it's a specific type of misery, right? Like it'd be like, oh, you're gonna get up and go work at the railroad at 5 a.m. That would be miserable and hard work. It doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. So
I
but
think
that
we'd all
is,
be better off, by the way. By the way, I think we would all be better off if we all just got up at the ass crack of dawn and did some manual labor.
hey, look, as someone who I had 2 summers in college where my job was working at a cemetery doing manual labor, literally digging holes for headstones, mowing, trimming, doing all of this manual labor. I learned a lot, and I legit built character.
That is a part of the Peter Overzet lore I did not know. That is unknown lore to me.
Yeah. Yep. It was like, because you would look at like retail jobs or working at a restaurant, they're paying $8-9 an hour. And there was this government job at the National Cemetery by my house. And my dad noticed it because he worked in the government and saw the job board. And it paid like 13 an hour. And at the time it was like double what you could make anywhere else. I was like, oh yeah, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that.
Sign me up for that.
It was very hard work, but it paid well. But yeah, that, like, to go back to what you were saying, you do want to be pushed. Like that's the whole point of a goal. Like it's not just something you can put on autopilot. you have to build a new habit around it and work really hard at it. So yeah, those are the things I'm trying to come up with right now, is like how to make them realistic, but also hard.
Well, I mean, that is the nature of the game. And you and I are like, not that I'm the person that I want to be and I'm where I want to be at in life, but we're at least in places with our life that like we don't have to answer the question that a lot of people do, like, how do I even get myself to exercise? Like, how do I
Yeah.
get myself to go to the gym? So our goals will maybe be slightly different as it pertains to that. I mean, not like I'm fucking Ryan Doubt. Ryan Doubt is this guy. So he's like a giga genius, and he like also is insanely disciplined. Like I saw him tweet the other day. He's like, and he is a father, and
Yeah.
I assume he's like related there. He's like, oh, I read 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's like non-negotiable, 3 hours a day. I'm reading. And this dude's
Yeah.
not reading like genre fiction. Like he's reading like
He's
Greek
spinning a
philosophy.
randomizer wheel at the library and then like, oh, I'll just read this for a week.
Yeah. All right, dude. So let's do it.
Well,
Let's get to I unless you have something you want to do first.
no, I just wanted to say on that note, like there is I think you and me both, like if we had infinite amount of time, like being able to just go and read for 3 hours a day sounds absolutely
Sounds
incredible.
unbelievable. Yeah.
I was literally at the library with April on Wednesday because I take her to these activities, and I was walking by and I like looked through this window and there was this little nook in the library and there was just this guy and he just had like his little stuff all splayed out and he was just reading a book just in a cozy nook on just like a Wednesday afternoon. I was like, that looks really nice. Like just doing that. But God, do I not have time to do it? And it gets romanticized, right? You hear the Warren Buffett stuff where it was like, man, I just clear my calendar of meetings and I sit around and read for 4 hours a day. And that makes me a brilliant businessman. And that's how I become a billionaire. And it's like, yeah, on paper, that sounds great. But I don't have that time.
I sure don't. Yeah, I probably would actually I would have that time if I just gave up on drafting. Like if I was not trying to literally lead the site in best ball drafts drafted, then probably I could have gotten I could read that much, but I don't have that time, man. The little mitten returns too is not going to put itself in my blue sky bio. I'll tell you that much. Okay, let's do it, man. 2025 New Year's resolutions. What do you want to do?
Yeah. So, like I said, I think the big one is, and you were kind of hitting on it as far as you and me, like we don't have a problem showing up, being consistent with working out. I've been like locked in that regard where I'm going to work out 4 to 5 times a week. I've done that forever. The problem for me is I kind of, now that I don't go to a public gym or I don't go to my boxing gym, I'm leading all my own workouts. I'm self-programming everything. Like I'm using, some built-in programs and assistants, but I don't have anyone like pushing me. It's all on me. And that has made me feel like I'm just in this constant cycle of plateau or maintaining.
Yeah.
And I want to find something where I hold myself publicly accountable, basically how I did with the book club, where it's like I put it out there, like I'm reading 15 books. I said there was going to be a bounty if I didn't do it. And I want something that like turns me into more of an athlete and forces me to work hard at something.
Do you know what this is?
Well, that's what I said. I'm not fully putting it out there yet because I'm not fully committing to it, but I do have an ambitious goal that I'm thinking about committing to. And I know it's dumb not to just say it right now, but I really like once I put it out there, I'm fucking committing to it. And I'm just not quite there yet.
Yeah, you're a busy guy. You got a lot going on. You have a child. I don't blame you. So like my goal last year, like my big goal in training was to get stronger. Like I just want to throw
Yeah.
around a lot of weight. I want to deadlift a lot. I want to bench a lot. I want to squat a lot. I didn't get to the 1,000-pound club because I'm a small man. I'm just like, that's a lot. Like that is 1,000 pounds for the compound lifts would be like basically doing more than 3.5x my body weight on all of them. I guess other than bench. So I'm still going to be doing that stuff, but I'm just going to be taking it slower because getting injured deadlifting or getting injured squatting,
Yeah.
really I have hurt my back deadlifting before, and it's never something where you leave it and you're like, that was definitely worth it. Definitely worth it to deadlift and hurt my back. So one day a week, I'm going to do like some kind of dynamic power-based movement. So that could be with kettlebells. It could be as simple as box jumps. It could be a rope type of, just something, because I'm 32 years old. I'm getting a little bit less flexible. And even if I'm stronger, I'm less powerful because I can't move as dynamically. So just one day a week, could be Saturday, could be Sunday, could be after like a lighter day, like a chest day or something. Just add in 10, 15, 20 minutes of dynamic movements.
I think that sounds awesome. And I've been in a similar spot as you where I've done more strength training this year than I typically have. But then like other things have gone to the wayside, like a lot of the dynamic movement stuff, which is what I used to always do at my boxing gym. It was all kettlebell based, lots of, like you mentioned, box jumps, pushing sleds, all of that fun stuff. And now I've been just more lifting. And I have felt like my mobility and maybe my explosiveness and stuff suffer because you're just kind of strength training. So I'm with you on that. And I would say my equivalent of that is I just have to prioritize stretching in yoga more, because basically like the way I operate is I have like, okay, I have an hour on my calendar. Like I had it just this morning where I was like, I'm working out, I'm doing that no matter what, but I'm looking at my stuff and I'm like, I just need to lift this entire time to get everything in, even though I should have 15 minutes to warm up. Like I'm just like not warming up because I'm just saying I got to get this in. And so, outside of like 4 minutes of jump rope or like 3 minutes of half-ass stretching, I just like get right into it. And I really want to find a way to commit to like warming up, to stretching, having more of a yoga practice, like the stuff that's easier to throw to the wayside.
Yeah, because you go to the gym and you're like, well, I can stretch at home. I can do fucking jumping jacks or whatever. And it's a pretty easy lie to tell yourself that that like I'll stretch late. It's like a great lie people tell themselves is, oh, I'll come back to the gym and do my cardio in the afternoon. Like I lifted in the morning. I'll come back and I'll run later. I'll come back and do the stairs later.
Yes, for sure. And like for me, a lot of the stuff for me, honestly, like boils down to time. Because I can schedule and be like, all right, I'm gonna do yoga, every day at this time. But then I'm like, shit, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And it's just that's why I'm so looking forward to the off season. And I know you have, big plans and you're gonna grind hard with a lot of YouTube stuff, but I'm like looking forward to freeing up some time in my schedule to build in some of these habits that have just, how it goes in the season. Like they're just everything gets thrown to the side when the chips are down.
Yeah, I mean, look, we are also at different places in our YouTube journey. Yours is like a little bit more. It can sustain on its own. Like I think if I just stopped making YouTube videos, for the next 6 months, it would be like coming back from like stone square one in June or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% would recommend you keep going hard right now and capitalize on the momentum. I do think in general with the fantasy content cycle that it is like a really good time to take off, obviously in February and March. But it also depends on what you're focusing on. I mean, like dynasty football is blowing up. It is blowing up. Like there's going to be so much hunger for that kind of content. And I'm just kind of like, I'm going to sit out the dynasty stuff and try to come back and really hammer it. I mean, I was talking to Mason Dodd, the Fantasy Flock, the biggest YouTuber in the game. And he was telling me he's going to take off the most time he's ever taken off in this early offseason, because he goes balls to the wall in season. And he used to just go balls to the wall year round, which is why he's so successful. But even he was like, my most high value time is in the summer, in the lead up to the season starting, and I need to recharge. Even someone like him, who's an animal, is like, I'm gonna recharge for a couple months in the offseason. So I do think it's important. I think last year I took some time off and I really came back pretty hungry with the Deposit Kingdom channel and a bunch of ideas and projects. And I really liked how I felt about that. Whereas right now, when I try to think of projects, I'm like, I feel exhausted and I'm like, no, I need to unplug for a little bit and then come back rejuvenated.
I'm so down bad. Not down bad. I'm so just like, the content machine has to be fed. It's got to go. It's got to go. I was working with Claude and Perplexity this morning on just like cobbling together this like shitty prospect model. Like that'll need to be, not that it will be mind blowing, but just like people fucking love that shit in YouTube comments. The model. The computer says, like, just just have to have something to feed it in. But yeah, like the dynasty stuff, like I'll have to go and plan on going very hard. But it is your advice that basically If that stuff is going to live as a video, it's just got to be on a separate channel. There's not enough room for it to be done. Cause like Ron does both. Ron's YouTube channel, he does both.
Here's the thing that I think we run into, and there's some good overlap. Like again, not to mention Mason again, he has done the Lord's work in making best ball more palatable to the normies because he drafts underdog teams, and they're like, now they see it in their feed from one of us, and they're like, oh, that's not a scary different format. They're like, I saw Mason do it. So there is some overlap. I think where you and me run into issues is we do some really hyper niche stuff that the normies do not care about. The normies do not care about battle royale. They do not care about playoff best ball. The normie audience for Dynasty is definitely growing. But like, if you look at the niche that Ron has, it is in season, like season long stuff. And then he's branched that out to Dynasty off season. And that's the exact same format as Mason and Nick Ercolano as well. They don't waste their time with the stuff we do. But the reason we waste our time with it is because that's what's interesting to us. And that's what's fun to us.
And it's so also uncaptured by and large.
And that's why I think it would be hard for it to blow up on your channel. If you really if you were like, I'm going to make 2 to 3 Dynasty videos a week during this period, I'd be like, dude, just separate that into a different channel. But if you were like, yeah, I'm just going to do 1 video a week and it's just going to be a show, I'd be like, yeah, just keep it on that channel. But I think there's a lot you could do with a Dynasty channel and capture a wider audience, basically.
The thing is that the reason why I think it would be dumb to start a second, not dumb, but just like not worth the time ROI putting it in right now. Cause like I've seen how hard it is to grow on YouTube, basically. Like it is.
Yeah.
It's hard. Is once Best Ball Mania is out, I'm like, Dynasty? I don't know her. What a rookie pick? I don't even know what that is,
Well, that you're just explaining the dynamic I just said, which is like, at the end of the day, we're going to make the content that's interesting to us because the audience can pick up on that, right? Like the audience can tell when something is a chore for you. The audience sniffs me out all the time when it's like, oh, Peter's phoned this and he doesn't care. Or they can tell when I'm fucking jazzed up about something. And then that enthusiasm, trickles down into that. So we're always going to sacrifice views and growth for not making content that makes us miserable. And it's the whole goal of this is to triangulate that. For you, maybe the pendulum's swinging a little bit more in that other direction because you are out on your own right now trying to make it, and you're willing to maybe do some stuff you don't necessarily love for a bigger goal. Where right now I'm in that same limbo. I'm constantly trying to weigh those two things.
And I mean, look, I like Dynasty. Like it's very enjoyable to me, but it's not as enjoyable to me on August 3rd as it's going to be to someone who already has 59,000 YouTube subscribers for a Dynasty only channel. So I don't know. I'll have to weigh it. I'll have to maybe the answer is just to do a bunch of streams. Maybe just all Dynasty ranking stream, Dynasty rookie draft. I don't know. There's something there, but I'm going to have to figure it out.
Because you think of how the algorithm works, right? Like say you start humming on some Dynasty videos and you find some new people and then you're like, bam, Best Ball Mania drop, like opening stream. And there's this Dynasty bro who's in Dynasty YouTube who found you and is like, oh, this is sweet content. And then he sees a Best Ball Mania stream and then he's not clicking it, or he clicks it for 2 minutes and then clicks off because he's like, this isn't Dynasty, and then you're hurting your click-through rates. You're hurting your retention. And now all of a sudden the algo is saying, wait, Davis's audience doesn't all love this content. And that's why niche, YouTube smash. And so you basically have to make the trade-off of, do I want to build a community who are there for you and they'll join you on the ride? Like if you started doing just weightlifting content or fitness content, there would be a big chunk of your audience that would still tune in the same way a lot of people are going to tune into you and me talking about books and resolutions, right? Like this isn't nailing the fantasy football portion of our algo. And so I think you just have to think about what you're actually trying to optimize for. And if it is a specific niche, then it should be its own channel.
I don't have the answer. I'm going to have, I honestly might pick Ron's brain about, I might see if he has, any, I appreciate the input. All I know is that I basically want to stream every day of the whole year and figuring out how to optimize around that. I just have to figure out what the answer is there.
And that would be this was another thing, why I did the one streaming all 150 is because it's really hard to grow on live stream. But if you could have a narrative hook or a through line, it builds some like stakes to it. In there, it's basically, like you're building out a story in a way. Like if you did commit to, I'm going to do 100 days of streaming in a row or whatever that number is, like I would actually lean into that. And even if it's a different topic, it's like day 36 of 100 straight live streams in today's
Well,
dynasty or
I
whatever.
think I've already committed to that. I think I'm gonna stream all my big boards, which is like it's like the virgin nerdier version of what you and Neil did, which is streaming every Best Ball Mania.
But I'm saying don't just implicitly do that. Make that the hook. Like you are going to see every single pick that I'm making in this pre-draft contest. Like that's the whole thing of which we'll be able to rope more people in.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that idea. My YouTube goal, just while we're here, my YouTube goal is I want to get not this channel. Well, I'd like to get the main channel, the Davis Mattek YouTube to 10,000 subscribers. And I want to get it would be nice to get the Taekcast channel to 1,000 so that it can get watch page ads. Not that I'm going to be a fucking millionaire or even a $50 an air from the watch page ads, but it would just be nice.
I'm so fed up with the YouTube ads right now. It's legitimately broken. I don't know if you've gotten the complaints about ads, but their default auto stuff, it used to be really good. You used to have to manually do it. Then they had a good default thing. And now the default thing's broken and they're over serving people. And I don't know what the answer is because I can't spend an hour manually inserting ads for every show. But it's a real issue right now.
No, I've literally not heard one word of this.
Really? You don't people don't complain about ads on your show?
Like maybe 2 people in the Sunday morning stream, which has like 500 people in it, would say like, why are there so many ads?
Yeah. Like I have it for reference. YouTube, this, like when you go to set it, you can do conservative, medium, or high. I put it as conservative, the lowest amount, and I get complaints about it in a way that I didn't used to and then I go and click on them and see where they're inserting it, and there'll be like 45 ads placed as their default thing. And they claim that not everyone gets served every ad, that there's something in it. But based on the feedback I get, it sure as hell seems like people are getting served up way too many ads.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Really. That's actually a thing that Twitch does better than YouTube is if you're the equivalent of like, oh, if I'm in the deposit kingdom, you could watch your videos with no ads. That is a huge edge that Twitch has. If you pay the $5 a month, no ads, which is a huge hook, which by the way, YouTube should figure something out, even if that means more of the money from that $5 comes out of our pocket. That feels like, I guess their whole business model is based on ads. So maybe that doesn't work, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why YouTube doesn't offer that versus Twitch.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Obviously when you do like YouTube member shows, I don't have any ads on or anything like that. Like that's the whole point. Like the members are subsidizing that. But for people who don't know or who do get fed up with it, like the AdSense stuff builds up a very nice floor to YouTube income. No one is getting rich off of YouTube ads unless you're Mr. Beast or whatever in our niche. Even like the biggest creators, maybe Mason and Nick are pulling in some really nice ad revenue, but it raises the floor. And then when you supplement that with YouTube membership, it allows you to have a path of like, oh, if this did scale decently, I could make a decent living doing this. So the ads are important in, being compensated, especially when your channel isn't blowing up and you're getting like decent amount of views, but the channel isn't growing. Like those ads are very helpful for the creators. So just putting that out there because I have gotten lots of complaints and I haven't necessarily fully addressed it yet, but that's kind of what's going on there.
Yeah, I'm not turning the ads off. I don't even turn them to conservative. I don't have a job, YouTube is my job, more or less. And like, I've got things on the side and I'm not making no money right now, but I am making like roughly $1,000 a month in AdSense, which is like not nothing when you literally don't have a job.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So I'm not, if you are mad about the ads, I'm not turning it off. Although if you're watching this on the Taekcast YouTube channel and you're getting ads, that is not helping me at all because that channel is not monetized. So
Well, it shouldn't be having ads on it then in that case.
I think it does though. I believe it still does, even because my channel is in the creator program. It just doesn't have
Hmm.
enough subs to be for me to get the watch page ads. So what's your YouTube goal for 2025?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. I definitely want to keep building up the Deposit Kingdom channel. I am starting to think about something along the lines of even less consistency and just making a bigger splash with videos, putting more time into them, making say 5 really good banger videos over the course of the summer as opposed to 20 good ones. That's what I think I did last year. Um, and that's the thing I'm wrestling with. It's really nice to get the immediate feedback of a video and stuff, but I don't know. I was trying to find my voice on that channel. Did I want to do real analysis? Did I just want to do, lean into like best ball bro comedy type stuff? Did I want to do the quasi draft streams like I did where I would bring people on and do the questionnaire? Those performed well. So I tried a lot of things out and I just have to figure out what I want to do. But I think what gets me most jazzed up at the end of the day is putting a ton of work into a single thing. Like the Best Ball Bros video, even though it's comedy, like I put so much time into that and it's so rewarding when it comes out. And I'm like, I think I might just lean into bigger one-off projects and see how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, I like that idea. I feel like doing like 6 videos, like one being like I think a video that would do great on the Deposit Kingdom would be like, here's what you need to know about the rookies in Best Ball Mania. A working title, obviously, but something like
Mhm.
that. But like you don't have to have that ready to go for April or even like May 5th, but like May 22nd, when normies are like finally starting to think about fantasy football,
Yeah.
maybe. And that video could get 27,000 views a month,
Yeah.
until it's just like because I do feel like that plays much more into your strength of like really let you write, really let you think about the design. Like you have a great eye for design and like what you want a video to look like and what you want a channel to look like and like the truth serum with the little slime graphic and things like that. Like my brain doesn't really work that way. So I mean, again, not like I know anything. This is a student speaking to master, but I do feel also because like I like listening to your content, and I definitely did not watch every Deposit Kingdom video in its entirety. But if there were 6 of them, I probably would, honestly.
And that's where I want to get to the point. Like, to me, live streams are great because your fans and people who care are just going to show up no matter what, and you can just show up. I kind of want to make the Deposit Kingdom where it's like if a video is dropping, it's an event. Like it's a big deal. It's not just another throwaway thing where it's like stop what you're doing and go watch this because Pete's put a ton of time into this. And I kind of want to see if that could potentially result in maybe in more growth and more views too, where you're basically training the audience in a way you can't like we signal with our live streams that like none of them are like massively important, right? It's like there's gonna be another one tomorrow, there's gonna be another, like that's the name of the game. You're
Yeah.
providing entertainment on a daily basis. That's the value prop. I kind of want to start thinking about the Deposit Kingdom channel as no, this is an event. Peter put a lot of time into it, and I have to go watch this.
Do you watch Jeff Nippard?
Well, it's funny because I mentioned my weight training. He's the guy whose program I've been using for I bought like one of his
Hey, me
fundamentals.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, for last year. So for last year, I did 2 versions of his program, and now I'm using Chris Bumstead's app.
Oh, nice.
This is how easy it is to get influenced by the internet. By the way, like these guys don't know me from Adam, but like they put out a new product, and I'm like, can I give you? I would like to give you my money. How do I give you? What's the easiest way? Do you need a check? Do you need cash? Like I would like to give you my money. The Chris Bumstead app is really good.
Is it?
Um,
What does
yeah.
it do?
Well, it's like his workouts. Like they're like I've been training every day, roughly 6 days a week for 5 years, and I've seen like a couple like some spots on my shoulders and things where I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I wasn't hitting those until I started doing this program. And it has a calorie tracker in it if you want to use a calorie macro tracker. But I actually, speaking of being influenced, I use Macro Factor now, which is
Okay.
another of Jeff Nippard's things. And Macro Factor is really good. But anyway, the whole point there is Jeff Nippard's YouTube videos are like that. He only puts out about 5 a year now. I mean, he's rich and has like his old videos probably make him money. But yes, when he puts out a video, it's like, I'm taking 20 minutes tonight. I'm sitting down and I'm not, this isn't second screen viewing. I'm sitting and watching it. And I think you could definitely do that for fantasy football. I think there would be a way for that to be what the Deposit Kingdom has become.
And the other thing, so the other thing that's been knocking around in my head about that is kind of what Doug Polk has done, not with his. So you think about Doug Polk, and I think there's a lot of analogies to how he approached the content, where he kind of initially blew up doing hand history stuff, right? That's kind of like what people liked watching, even pre all the poker vlogs blowing up, and him just breaking it down. He's really smart, can break down the stuff in an entertaining way. And then he started kind of pivoting to news stories, you know, the drama within the poker sphere, covering them. Obviously, he had a stint doing that for crypto. And I'm like, I want to be able to mix in some videos like that. You know, the kind of really interesting stuff in the fantasy space is few and far to come by. But like, take for instance, like the Tanner and Jade thing that happened. Like, I'm thinking like on the Deposit Kingdom, like if that broke a story on that level, I do the 20-minute Doug Polk style video on that whole thing. Bunch of jokes, all the information. It's your one-stop shop if you're trying to figure out what the fuck was going on with this story, and I'll package it in a really entertaining and fun way, and you come watch that. Like, those are some of the videos I want to make too.
Well, and I'm thinking like that stuff would kill SEO wise too. Cause like if you hear like, oh, someone mentioned Tanner and Jade on a podcast, and then you're like, oh, well, I want to know more about that. And you try and like Google that or Twitter search that, it's a mess. You know, YouTube search is one of the most efficient search engines in the world. Like when you search on YouTube, you get to what you need to find. But like, you know, Google search and Twitter search like do not work anymore. Like at all.
Yeah.
Like you cannot get to anything that you want. And if you do get to what you want on a Google search, it probably took you to a YouTube video.
And the other thing about all this stuff too, and one thing that's nice about live streaming, one thing that's nice about, say, the BR videos I was making on the Deposit Kingdom, I could really easily plan for that schedule. I knew when I was going to sit down and script the video. I knew when I was going to record it. My editor knew when he was going to edit it. He knew when he had to get it back to me. I knew when I was going to post it. Like, it made it easy. Part of me wants to free up time in my schedule to where if there was a crazy story like that, I could just drop everything I'm doing. And for the next week, obviously I'm going to have responsibilities. Like, I'm going to still have to write the newsletter. I'm going to have some streams that I'm going to do, but I'd love to have these pockets of my schedule where I can be like, all right, let's fucking go. This is a meaty story. You know, say the NFFC thing. Like, obviously we were right in it with ship chasing, but it's like, if I was, say, more removed from it, like, let's go make a story, a video, 20-minute about everything that happened. And so people don't have to watch a 2-hour ship chasing live stream. I'll just package it up into a 20-minute kind of thing. So that stuff gets me excited, like, as I'm talking about it.
And it's very doable. And also it's as you're thinking about doing content and things, like, it's nice to be like, well, this is not duplicative. Like, no one else is doing this, which is hard. It's hard in fantasy football to do things like that.
Right. Because you basically have to say, what can I do that no one else can do? Or, you know, what can I provide? And that's why I think you and me tend to default to live streaming, because we know that we can be entertaining in a smart way for a very specific audience. But I think there's more to, you know, what we can do, right? And trying to think like, okay, no one else.
Well, no one else can. I defaulted for live streaming because I was like, I'm not paying an editor $500 to make a video that's going to get like 63 views, you know, for weeks, because my channel's at 0.
Well,
you know.
Well, let me tell you this. I have a great editor, and it is expensive and it's worth it. But I will say
this guy, your editor, has been in my DMs for weeks, months, really, about being like, oh, I have this idea for you. And I'm like, yeah, maybe.
here's the thing though, what you need. So the thing about producing videos, yes, having really good quality helps, but it's more about what's not there. It's more about having a hook. It's more about having non-dead air. It's more about not having lazy transitions between segments. Like the Underdog YouTube channel is a great example. They have a good producer, but their production is pretty light. They build out stuff ahead of time. They have some slides, they have some clips they're going to show. It's basically a live show like any of ours, except they've just added a little bit of production to it. Their segments, the guests know what direction they're going to end up on. And that's why for my live streams, I've added some stuff like topic bars and stuff, just little things that help with retention for people who jump in out of nowhere. And so I guess what I would say to you is like, don't let the barrier, the enemy of, video perfection be good. Like there's ways to accomplish what you want to accomplish without a super expensive, process basically.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's not even really about that. It's just, it's kind of like, I'm literally the diamond gem mining guy, but like, it's actually like I'm getting some gem returns from just streaming, like just clicking live every day, just going live, just being like, all
Yeah.
right, we're just going to keep going. Like the return, like you said, it's so funny because I do this like YouTube research and I read like the partnered YouTube subreddit and stuff. And it's like these people who just make like these shitty videos, but like they do well in SEO. Like, oh, I have 27,000 subscribers. It's like, yeah, having one video that like mega smashes will be better for overall growing on YouTube than live streaming every day for 365 days. But also, that's like easier to do. It is literally easier to live stream every day for 365 days than to get a 1 million view video.
Right. And I also don't want to shortchange, the live streaming stuff has been massive for me because live streaming is awesome and it sounds cheesy and whatever hack to say, but like building a relationship up with your audience, like
Oh, it's
live
great.
streaming allows them to get to know you. You can think of like, all right, I think John Oliver in his show and the segments they do are really well. I never feel like I know John Oliver from those segments. He's just a funny dude who's good behind the desk and has a great team that packages stories in a great way. But it's a lot different than if you watch John Oliver just riff for 2 or 3 hours in like a radio format every day, right? That's how you really get to know someone. So you shouldn't shortchange like live streaming as lazy because there is like a huge value in it. But the way I always think about it is live streaming builds up super fans. But it's just you're going to add a few of those every show, but you're never going to like pop and add 10,000 random fans in the way you can with like niche or produced content.
I don't know. So I'm reaching the point of like needing to make a decision on what I'm doing. Like if I do want to start a second channel or if I do want to do one video, I don't know, but I gotta make my decision soon. What do you
I think
got?
I would just say though, like I think you're good at this in that a lot of people just sit around and wait as they think about stuff of like you just continuing to do shit. You can always tweak and modify like as
If
you
you have
go.
a shitty video, guess what? Like just do another one.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. And the whole point too is once you get all of these reps, you will get to the point where it's like, oh, maybe I can just take a live stream vibe and turn it into almost having my cake and eat it too, where I get some graphics made and I'm like, I can just produce what feels like a produced video, but I just do it live anyways, and no one can tell because of the light of hand that I'm doing sleight of hand with some of that stuff. So I don't know, just keep making stuff and you'll figure it out as you go. I don't think you need some like master plan.
no. All right. What other goals? What other goals you got? Was that it?
No, we've hit on a few of them. Let me see. I'm gonna post in my newsletter tomorrow, kind of a few of these things. One, I know you don't struggle with this, or I don't want to say not struggle with it, but it's not part of your life anymore. But around this time of year, I always start drinking more.
Oh, yeah,
Holidays,
this is a classic one.
football, stuff like that. Generally in the summer, I get a little more dialed because it's just like, your shirt's off, you're at the beach, I get motivated in that vanity kind of way. And then at the end of the season, it's just like, oh, I'll have a drink tonight, have wine with dinner. And it just like snowballs out of control. And then it basically culminates for me next weekend when I do my divisional round trip with my buddies. And I will end up imbibing a lot. but I'm going to do a cold turkey for a month, probably March. And I still would like to even, in the back of my head, I think I have like maybe a year or so more before I just cut out alcohol forever. I'm not quite there yet. It feels very hard, but I do think I'm on that path.
What are you gonna do on the divisional round trip, man?
You mean when I quit drinking or?
Yeah, yeah,
See, that's the thing too of like, as you get older, right? I worry about like the peer pressure of that stuff less and less. You know, when you're younger and your buddy's like, oh, come on, whatever,
yeah,
I don't give a shit about that now. Like if I go tell my buddies like I'm not drinking, I don't care.
right.
But yeah, I think, and the thing is like I don't have a relationship with alcohol where I have to drink to have fun. It is just like a celebratory thing that is a very fun thing to do. And the more I, do stuff with April in the morning and I have to condense so many things into a tight schedule, like the drinking becomes less and less appealing to me. And so I don't know, it's something I have to figure out, but I want to find a way to like basically slowly taper off of it to zero.
That's a pretty good one. I'm not gonna do that for nicotine because nothing is gonna help me lock in more than popping in a piece of nicotine gum and getting to work. I'll say my most outlandish one. This is the one that I'm not gonna flog myself if I don't do. I really want to run a marathon. I ran a half marathon last year. Actually, I ran a half marathon on January 28th or something like that last year, and
Yeah.
then the next day ran again and just like destroyed my hamstring and couldn't run for like 4 months. So I'm gonna not do that. But yeah, I don't know if that means like actually signing up and putting the bib on and looking ridiculous, or literally just going outside of my front door and running 23.6 miles. But that is my real fitness goal, my kind of outrageous fitness goal.
That's awesome. I think one of the reasons mine would never involve a marathon specifically is just like the amount of time it takes to train. And, I mean, like at the end of your training, when you're having to go out for a casual 20-mile training run, not that that's hard once you've trained, but it requires
I
a
would
lot
not
of
do
time.
that. I would basically be like, I could get to the point of being able to do 10 miles without getting hurt and then just being like, all right, fuck it. Let's go.
That's not
That,
how it works.
that's
That's
how
not
I,
how it
that's
works.
how I do things. That's how I do things.
You're not going to be able to go from 10 to 26 on pure
I
adrenaline
went,
and
I
carry
went,
the
I went
boat's
from,
energy.
I went from 6 to 13 and a half.
Look, you will be able to cross the finish line, but there will be lots of walking
Lots of
there.
consequences. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
God's good. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna do the marathon, like the whole point of that is, in my mind, is committing to the training program to get to that point, not
Yeah.
just being like, can I can I get halfway there and then just let God, take over
Let
and
God take
push
the
me there.
wheel. Yeah, it's just I'm more of the Goggins mindset of just like punish yourself, just like I hate this shit, but I got to keep going, you know?
Well, Goggins trained to get to the point where he's able to do those things, though.
Not at first though. Not at first. His first one no training. He just went and he regretted it. But yeah, that I mean obviously yes, there's also a lot of, kind of Spartan stoic mentality in being able to do the training and like not get bored and all that stuff. But yeah, that is kind of my overarching or maybe like do like a 2.5 hour half marathon, which is not fast, but is basically like you don't walk at all the whole way.
Right.
Something with running, because there's a lot of research that like basically the exercise you hate doing the most is best for your brain, and you
Yes.
can like kind of like rewire your brain by doing that. And Peter, I fucking hate running. I hate it. It's the worst. I hate it. So
See, I will say this, and I know I feel like I'm building this up into a bigger thing than it is, but my fitness challenge involves running too. But not super long distance, just because also too, I wonder, you're younger than me, but like you do start to run into wear and tear on your knees and stuff in a
oh
way
yeah,
where I'm like, man, I don't know how much I want to be pounding the pavement. And then also the other thing that makes it tough is we don't live in, sunny Southern California where we can just run in 60-degree weather. year round. Like training for this kind of shit.
No, I would
in
have to
places
be in
where it
the
gets
gym.
cold.
I would honestly just have to do 80% of this training on the treadmill, probably, just due to weather.
And see, that's my hate, is running on the treadmill. I like running. I do not like running on the treadmill.
See, this will not surprise you, but I can put on, a history podcast and fire up a big board or two, and basically just like forget that my body even exists. And just vibe out. That's my running strategy, which obviously you can't do running outside. It turns out you can't draft the Gauntlet Returns 2 running outside.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, I was doing dog bowl drafts because I love the Underdog Cardio Club. I love doing cardio while drafting season long teams. But I was doing the dog bowl draft because those are, 12 person, 6 rounds. So it's a little longer in between. And I was doing cardio club ones of those on Friday during the season, and going out for like a 4 or 5 mile run and doing a couple of those dog bowl drafts on my phone. And I loved it. And it would, to your point, it was distracting. Like, it's like, I'd be on the sidewalk, make a pick, just thinking about my next pick, and it makes the run go by pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man, let's get out of here. Direct the people where you'd like them to go, and we'll be on our merry way.
When are we going to post this? We're going to post this just this afternoon?
Yeah, right away.
Okay. Yeah, bunch of playoff best ball DFS content on my channel. Did a couple shows with the Badge Bros, and then all the stuff on ship chasing. If you're watching this before lock and you're playing in the FFPC contest, we'll have a 4th show on Friday night if you're watching this after the fact with Dink and Leone. So yeah, basically I put it on Twitter today, Dave. It's like the greatest drafting day of the year between playoff best ball, wild card, playoff contests. There's a hoop slate with a dog bowl qualifier. I mean, there's so much right now.
Yeah, and I now have to go talk to David Kitchen for an hour because we decided to do a members only Soulcast channel. You fucking love to see it.
I'll join you guys for a couple of those once the season's over.
I've learned a lot about David over the last 2 months, namely that he does not really get how to go create a YouTube video, and that he just pretty consistently needs me to do that for him, which is fine.
Well, apparently he had all the time in the world today because he posted that his local Planet Fitness was closed due to a snowstorm. So that freed up like 8 hours in his day. It sounded like
really, really unbelievable stuff.
How about that? Yeah. So we should reconvene because I know I was being a little wishy-washy on some just because I am trying to dial these in, but I feel like this conversation actually crystallized a few things for me. So yeah, we should touch base in like a month when the season's over with like our concrete ones, because I'm gonna have some really concrete stuff by then.
All right. Yeah. I mean, you tell me, man. I got nothing but time, and I want to fill that time purely with putting my my dick in the content grinding mill. So you let me know, brother.
Wow. Okay. That was quite the image there. I've heard grinding the cock down to a nub, but putting it in the content mill is one I didn't know I needed there. All right. Appreciate you guys. Let us know in the comments too. What are you guys doing this year for New Year's resolutions? It's always fun to see what resonates with you guys, or any other inspiration. And yeah, we'll see you next time on the Taekcast. I just did your outro for you. Peace.